It's Brewsday, right here on the Postgame show every Tuesday in football season. You know what that means. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Jay Phillips, struggling to put his headphones on. This is a real mess.
Sorry, I was talking business with Ryan.
He came in late, hit a traffic jam. He lives less than a half a mile from here.
No, I live 2 miles from here, but
it's a half a mile. It's a pogo sticks.
I was talking business with the owner of Ryan Brewer Fence.
You need a fence or something?
I do need a fence or something. Actually, I just need a fence.
No something?
No something. Unless, well, I mean, if Ryan wants to do other things that, like for every how many feet of fence can I get like a bonus, like wall art or...
Oh, so we're negotiating here on the air? It's not going to work in your favor.
That usually goes out really well. Yeah, to bombard him with negotiation.
I'm gonna like print out a coupon and be like, no, I got this in the paper. It said for every 20 feet of fence, I get free Gamecock wall art.
Oh man,
maybe 50 feet.
You've already revealed your plan on air.
Yeah,
this is not going well for you.
All right, well,
workshopping that one publicly.
I'm very excited though.
It's a bold strategy.
That, the great Casey Moody will be coming to my house tomorrow, and I'll rag on myself. I've done this with Ryan a couple of times, and Mrs. Phillips and I have put it off for a variety of reasons. And this time there is no putting it off. So hopefully by the time, well, before I would
it's
like.
It's okay. I've been over to your house like 8 times looking for this fence.
No, it's not been. Don't tell people 8 times. It's not true. That's not true. But
7.
Sure, there you go. But soon enough here. So I'm very excited about that.
We are too. We're very excited to put up a fence for Jay Phillips.
Yeah, it'll be nice. But, well, never mind. I'll leave the rest for Ryan to come over and do that. And then we'll tell the story when we're all done. Because there is going to be a story in here.
It's always a story.
Yeah.
Every day is a new chapter.
That's right. How you doing?
Doing awesome, man. Can't go and berate you about refs this week, so we're good. I think they did Did you notice the officials were even on the field?
There may have been somebody that was concerned at how that you were serious, and I was like, oh well, he was serious, but I wasn't concerned.
Yeah, that's why there's a chair between us.
Yeah, well, I don't know that chair is really going to be much of a barricade, but
you didn't even notice them. This is a good game when that happens, right? So,
okay, I agree.
But
I agree.
a big W for Saturday. I think just everyone doing what they're supposed to do and getting off the field and. It was fun to watch. I
said to Elijah yesterday, there were still plenty of times when I thought the offense wasn't super crisp, and he I don't want to say you pushed back, but maybe you did a little bit. Like, no, you're like, no. I was like, because I said a few things here, and he's like, no. When you think about it, and then he kind of swayed me into thinking, okay, with the and it's not about Robbie or anything like that. I thought the play calling was good. I know a lot of fans have been critical of that. I think when you are critical of a play, you're going to be more apt to go, oh, the play calling was terrible relative to looking at execution or things like that. I guess my biggest thing was I just maybe mentally had wanted to see when I say more, it probably has more to do, Ryan, with Lenoris not playing than anything else, and maybe just a lamentation of like what they still need to do and maybe couldn't go do.
I think you're correct. I think the offense, there was times where it wasn't fluid. Heck, we had to get how many 4th down conversions to
They were
keep it going.
4 of 5, including one for a score.
That's something you didn't put. I didn't put on my bingo card that we're going to have to go 4 or 5 for 4th downs against Akron. That had to have it to win. But early in the game, that was a scoring drive, a couple scoring drives. So there's definitely times where you watch it going, man, that's we moved the ball well on the perimeter. But the inside didn't get the push they should have against Akron. There's things that, they're definitely going to be coaching moments on this game. But I was super proud of all the guys, the 2s, 3s that came in and contributed. Not just getting touches, but blocking and, in the running back room, getting some touches on there and making the most of it. When Rocket going down that early, in a game like that, it's you never know. It's, Akron's, let's say what it is, they're not good.
They're not good.
But they're a MAC team. And you see, and they're going to battle, and they have a good coach. They're going to battle, and you have, you saw what Toledo can do, Miami Ohio does, what these guys are doing to other teams, and you never know. And so you look at situations like their first drive, we go 3 and out. Did we go 3 and out the first drive?
Mm-hmm.
That's right there. Go, type going in there. But our defense did what they always do. We had one, maybe just missed time ball, and then maybe a couple runs on there. But other than that, they just dominated. And then and it was just but it was good to see when Rocket went out away, other guys stepping in and showing what they can do. You had Juju playing some slot, playing motioning out in the backfield a lot, catching the ball and showing what he can do on the perimeter and in open space. It's just fun to see guys like that touching the ball more than they normally do, and they getting confidence going in there. And now all of a sudden you have some options, and you know that, hey, I can do this. And let alone what happened with the quarterback play.
Regardless of who the opponent is, and I'm serious when I ask you this question, how important is it for the second team type guys, and I don't want to necessarily put Juju there, but if you look at Attaway or Howell or some of those guys, how important is it for them to score? I don't just mean to play, to score.
You want to play well, and so scoring helps a lot. Even if you want it to be a touchdown, like a highlight reel touchdown sometimes. So if you're just walking in the end zone, it's like it feels good, but it's like I really didn't do anything.
Right.
The offensive line just created that hole, and I walked in. And then two of Attaway's touchdowns were like that. But at the same time, if it does feel phenomenal getting in the end zone, and maybe a little confidence booster. But at the same time, you want to do everything when you walk off that field. Coach is like, dude, you played your tail off. You blocked well. You ran hard. You ran through guys. And that's sometimes like making a one-on-one guy miss or running through somebody might feel even better, especially if you get in the end zone. But it feels better than just walking in the end zone. But it's a big deal,
right.
Especially you're breaking the ice a little bit. You're type deal, and finally Juju getting one. He was wide open too, a little bit underthrown, making the catch and putting it in. But it definitely, you can tell by celebration. It feels really good to be in that end zone.
And I know, like, sifting through certain positives in a 43-point win against a team that, like, realistically will be in the bottom 10 of FBS this year can be a little challenging. But I think, I don't really care who you play against. You get 12 different receivers involved in this game, and you get Gage Larvidan to catch 2 passes with both those targets traveling, 20 yards in the air on both of them. I feel like that's something that there's not a lot of tape on it with him this year because he's been so banged up early. But that's still a guy that I look at I was really excited about at the beginning of the year. That's going to help you in the long term. And I think you've showed at least you have a couple of reliable pass catchers that maybe stretch beyond the 3 or 4 that you've relied upon the first 3 weeks of the year.
Well, yeah, I think with his catches there, obviously what Mazio did, again, I think he's getting better and better every week.
Great route on that touchdown.
I mean, just the stick on it. And again, the DBs for Akron, not great, but that stick he's going to get anybody. And the ball was there on time. It looked great, but that
was the best play of the game. Dead serious.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or it was a 3rd and long run. It was early in the game. What was it?
I'll find it.
It might have been it, but I was thinking what Robbie did. It was like 3rd and long or 4th down, and he got a first down on it, and he shook a linebacker or safety in the hole, and then just ran someone over for a couple extra yards and got the first down. That was the one. I was like, okay. You could tell then, like, confidence booster going for Robbie. That was I think got it going there. And then that throw might have been right after that. There's somewhere I'm not sure the sequence is right. My head, I got hit a lot in the head. So somewhere in that moment, that's why I was like, okay, this guy, he can do it. And that was one of those. All of a sudden you see Robbie start playing really well. But just go back to receivers, just a lot of different guys touching the ball, running, good routes out there. Again, just confidence. You can't worry about who's in front of you. You can't say, oh man, it's Akron, I should be getting open. You still got to do your job. You got to do your routes right. Your timing's got to be there. And like you said, that route that Bennett ran was just perfect timing. That stick, and once he stuck, the ball was in the air, perfect. Just in pass and catch. So it's fun to watch that kind of things and see progression. Can you keep getting better? And you have this off week to keep working on it, getting better. And I just think we've been fairly lucky schedule wise building up. The LSU game, I still. Whatever happened, but we got to that point now. Now we got a game where now we got banged up a little bit, but we got some guys in there, younger guys, get some confidence going into a bye week, going into even a tougher matchup against Ole Miss.
I mentioned I thought that the touchdown to Mazio was the best play of the game. I thought the coolest moment of the game, and we talked about this a lot yesterday, was the Davis Bevel touchdown.
Yeah,
and
just seeing on the sideline. Man.
Yeah, well, and I thought about you almost instantly there. I mean, you were obviously a first-team player and very, very good and started all the time. But my point was you've talked to us through the years about the brotherhood and the camaraderie. And And I said yesterday I thought that was a real symbol of what Shane has rebuilt at South Carolina. When everybody, I mean, I even joked, I told Elijah yesterday, I mean, every player, every staffer, every coach patting him on the head, patting him on the back, giving him a hug, high five. I was like, man, I felt like even the red hat and the side judge were going to come say, like, way to go, kid.
And it's what's crazy is it's not like he's been here for 5 years, or 4 years, or 3 years, or 2 years. You know, this is someone new to the team that does something like this that everyone respects right away, and that's huge. And that shows, again, you go back to what Shane's building in the culture around there, because normally it's, that's, a transfer guy comes in and gets a touchdown late in the game. It is what it is. Everyone wanted a piece of that to show, hey, man, we're proud of you. And then when he put his head down, I was tearing up. I was like, God, why am I getting so emotional over this? Because it's, how hard he's worked. It doesn't matter, from starter to walk on or in between. These guys work the same. They work their tails off, and he got a moment. He was able to get since 2020, 2022, he had a touch. First time he's
since
touchdown,
22.
Had a touchdown, something like that. And that's just the moment. I mean, he was throwing the ball well.
Yeah.
The first one, I mean,
he played well.
Yeah,
he looked good. I mean,
probably should have caught that one in the end zone. Got a little push in there, but moved the ball around very well. And then that was just, a little pinnacle moment to have that and walk off the field, just proud and very, I think it's, just, I don't know if it was relief, satisfied, just the thrill of it, whatever, just the emotions just hit him.
All of it. And
it was just a big moment.
Yeah, and I said, and I'm not singling any team or coach or anything out or any era, so I don't mean this to be specific to here, but I've seen enough football, as have you, as have a lot of us in our life, where a lot of times you call that a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah.
And that description would fit, and a lot of guys might be like, yeah, cool, all right, whatever. Like, looking at, not really looking at their watch, but like, all right, game over yet? Like, I'm ready to go out and go have a beer or do whatever. And I mean, they made a point of coming to him, and I just thought that was, I don't know how typical that is.
And I was watching, I'm like, it's pretty cool. Didn't think much about it either. I wouldn't say garbage time, but I was like, I'm watching some guys that haven't played a lot, and younger guys. I'm trying to see who's in the backfield, who's the receivers, who's catching balls like that. And I'm like, all right, this guy, I saw him in practice and scrimmages, and he looks great. He's just 6'6" and big 235 dude that can zip the ball and looks phenomenal. But what can he do out here? And he's picking him apart pretty good and moving around all right. And then he throws that touchdown. You're like, all right, you're proud of him, but then also you see him on the sideline and everyone coming to him. But when he put his head down on his shoulder pads, especially when Robbie grabbed him, I was like, good Lord.
Yeah, it was cool.
Why am I crying?
Right. There's a pollen in the air. I don't know what to do about this. It's Brewsday on the Postgame show. Ryan Brewer in the house. Of course, I haven't done my official introduction yet, but the former Gamecock wide receiver, running back, punt returner, kick returner, special teams gunner, team captain, husband, father, business owner, and so much more with us every single Tuesday. We got plenty more Gamecocks to discuss, a little bit more on the Akron game from Brew's perspective. And, of course, instead of looking ahead to an opponent, maybe we recall some of Ryan's horror stories from bye weeks of the Holtz era, or just what this team needs to work on.
Fumble Island stories.
Or both, that's right. Or Fumble Island stories, to where Ryan couldn't feel his arms anymore. Coach, I do need to feel the ball. That was basically the story of like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about that. He's like, couldn't you feel my arms anymore?
And then you stay at Fumble Island forever. It's a vicious cycle. You can't feel the ball.
Yeah, it definitely is. But that's part of it. You just got to get your arms where they're
that's what
raw
Lou wanted.
You can't feel it.
I don't want you to feel the ball.
Yeah. It's there.
Oh, good old Lou. All right, lots more to do with Ryan Brewer. You're listening to the Tuesday Postgame Show. We're in the thick of football season, y'all, and it means finding the best way to watch the big game when you're not at the ballpark. My opinion, as you well know, is to do it with my friends at Integrated Media. Call them up. They make house calls. Dave will come to you. You say, Dave, here's what I want. Dave walks around. You look at all different kinds of things, too. Like, all right, what room are we looking at? Where's the sun come in? Where should we hang a television? If you already have a great setup, are you ready to go next level? They can help with that, too. You building, you remodeling anytime soon? Please call Integrated Media first and let them work with your contractor. Don't come in, after the fact or have that contractor says, oh, no, I got a guy. Again, I heard some horror stories. You don't need that in your life. You want to go outdoors, they have amazing outdoor equipment that's built to be out there all the time. Don't have to cover it. Don't have to bring it in. All you do is enjoy it. 803-948-8327. They are awesome at what they do. Feel like you're there with Integrated Media. Welcome back into the game show. I want to remind you, September is Hunger Action Month. It's the game and Hardee's teaming up for the Hardee's Roundup. Go to your participating Hardee's, any of them around the Midlands. Round up your bill to the nearest dollar amount, and every single donation goes straight to Harvest Hope Food Bank for Students, a great cause, especially as the school year is getting underway. So, again, any participating Hardee's, stop by, grab yourself something for breakfast, or a chicken BLT,
Marvelous biscuits.
some fries, one of them apple turnover things, big cookie, chocolate
Now,
shake.
Big cookie, now we're talking.
There you go. Hardee's. Good stuff. Ryan
What the hell just happened?
Ryan Brewer, he tried to say in English, is with us here on a Tuesday afternoon on Brewsday. All right, biggest question, obviously, is Ryan Brewer's review of the uniforms.
Dude, I liked them. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I'm not big in changing the uniforms and all that. I like
hear
to
you.
keep something solid and the same over and over. But I would like to keep that the same over and over with a little maybe a white version of it as well. It was one of those like normally I don't even care. I really don't.
Right.
But they walked. I was like, dude, that's solid.
Hey.
That's awesome. They look sharp. Everybody looks sharp.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
They were
And
awesome.
I mean, and you look, the throwback, and you think, you look at the old George stuff and all that, and it's like, all right, they don't look great, but the revamped version of the throwbacks, they look, dude. I'm thinking that needs to be kept in the.
I freely
kept
admitted
rotation.
last week, the young version of me that saw George Rogers win the Heisman Trophy remembers those, and I remember. Back then, you didn't get a lot. Like, I knew they were going to change the uniforms when Coach Morrison came, but you didn't really think a whole lot about it, and it wasn't something that was a topic of discussion through the summer like it would be today, just things that stay in the consciousness. And, I was at Rockmont for a while and at the beach for a while, and you kind of come back and school starts and you go to your first game, you're like, oh, I'm wearing Garnet helmets. Okay, well, that's a thing. But, that look is just ingrained in my head for the George era and Gary Harper and Tim Gillespie and Ben Cornett and all those dudes. Man, it was fun.
And you can let me know how this works, but what do they do with them? Is it just a one and done?
I mean, well, I don't know.
I can't think.
They'll
back
store them back there somewhere. I suppose you could. That's a good. Elijah, I suppose they could take the stickers off. If they're never going to wear them again, they could auction them. But I imagine they're going to now keep them in some kind of rotation.
Here's a gift to the players for your.
I don't know, man. I honestly, we should probably, as we say in the business, effort that information. Well, like when you played, Lou went back to, he wanted to go back to the similar look. And that's what y'all wore. You didn't wear quite what they had the other night because the Block C and the Gamecock weren't as big, but he wanted to go back to a more traditional look. And I'm trying to remember.
I have a couple of those jerseys from when I was done.
But did y'all ever, you only played in a white helmet, right? Did you
Right.
y'all didn't go back to, Lou went back, they wore a black helmet.
I think the year
in like 03, 04,
the
maybe?
year after I left, they had
Yeah.
a black helmet. They went all black.
Right.
I don't remember ever wearing anything.
Maybe
but I had
04
one
even.
helmet.
Right.
Like I wore, I think, from freshman year on, until they tried to give me like the Don Beebe helmet,
Right.
like the concussion helmet. Which
Right.
I was like, dude, it's cool because I'm like 6'5" now, but it looks so bad.
The Don Beebe helmet. That's a good throwback. Yeah. He had the ones with like the tearaway thing, right?
So different. Like I wanted the big shoulder pads. I had the big thigh pads.
Right.
And I made sure my knees were never exposed. Now these guys have their pants going up to 7-inch inseam, and it's just.
Well, I want
no
those
pads at all.
uniforms. Quite honestly, if Coach Beamer were to come out sometime this week, next week, and say, executive decision has been made, this is our uniform, I'm in. 100%.
Has there ever been a more?
Do we have a say in it though?
Well, look, maybe
No, we
because there is just such like an imbalance of approval with this. Like, has there ever been a uniform in Gamecock football history that has this type of approval rating? Like this unanimously loved?
84 all Garnet was probably, just because of how good they were, that might be there. But this one, and I don't know. I guess it could also depend on how old you are. Like I say, for people of my generation that remember the Carlin era, because it was, George obviously was the highlight of that, and there's no question. But, you had Kevin and Clarence before that had good NFL careers, and Rick Sanford had a good NFL career. I mean, you had some dudes that went on. Willie Scott was a first-round pick with George Rogers. I mean, you had guys that did that uniform proud. But again, 84, the all garnet, and that's where the fire ant defense came around. That was sort of a nickname. I forget who came up with that, and there's probably a bunch of different myths already, even though it was only 40 years ago. We were talking about like even the Sterling and Todd look, the garnet helmet, the black jersey, the white pant. I liked it, but I would not put that in my top looks for Carolina football. I liked when y'all
close to what happens
when y'all went back to white garnet white at home. I was a big fan of that. So I don't know, Elijah. You ask a good question. So I wouldn't want to say that this is what it was, but if you were to ask me, and you sort of did, so I'm telling you, I would rank what we saw Saturday number 1 in my life, and I would put Fire Ants, the 84 all garnet, at number 2.
Because, like, in 2024, we can't get a whole large group of people to agree on anything, no matter how, sensical it could be. That's human nature, right? But I don't think I've seen a single tweet, text, call, anything on the internet, anything in this building, anything on our shows from a single human being that did not love them. Not just like them, love them. This is seemingly unanimous.
I'm with you. I think everybody that I've talked to, that even guys that play, they said they were all, man, first thing they said was unis are fire, man. They are. This is cool. So and you sound like that again. I usually don't give a crap.
Right.
This is one of those things, like if you look good, you play good type deal. If they liked them, keep them rolling.
Yeah.
And Shane didn't act like he didn't have a clue this was going on until because it was asked so long ago, whatever. But you know how he is with superstitions. Hey, look good, play good. If we want in them, let's keep them.
We need 50 points in them. I mean,
well, we need to effort some further information.
Unis. That's the reason.
We need to work.
If I have to start a petition, I'll start a petition.
Yeah.
I'm not above doing that.
Speaking of starting things real quick before we talk about more about this game, let me throw out, we have 2 poll questions running today. I'll get to mine, and then you pull up the other one here. I did ask today, the Gamecocks football team picked to finish 13th this season at SEC Media Days with 4 games played, and the team at 3-1, 1-1 in conference. Where do you currently see them in the conference pecking order? A, top 5. B, 6 through 8. C, 9 through 12. D, 13 or lower. Before I give some results, what would you think?
I mean, I think it's right now, pecking order, you got to go probably maybe the middle of the pack still.
Yeah.
Not because where they're starting from. I think they're going to keep growing, but they got some big games coming up that can prove everybody wrong. I think that's part of it. I don't want to say too much to say, hey, they're top 5 at all. I want you to keep that chip on your shoulder type deal. But we have a good football team.
Yeah.
We still have a lot.
You got 5 undefeated teams in the top 10 in the country right now, right? Top 6 in the country.
I mean, if you crack the top 8 in the SEC, you're a top 15 team in the country.
Yeah.
I think that's
who do we got? Texas 1, Georgia 2, Alabama 4, Tennessee 5.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss is where?
6.
So 5 4-0 teams in the top 6.
And Missouri is still top 10 too.
Yeah, with Ohio State number.
But what you've seen though out there with with Missouri and Vanderbilt and all that is you climb a ladder. A&M, what's going on? Auburn, what's going on? Arkansas, all this.
What's going on?
I mean, that's
and again, Arkansas should be 4-0.
Yeah. So, but we just got to keep climbing the ladder. It really. I mean, the poll wise, it's awesome. It's a great poll, but I think we're probably middle of the pack still.
I appreciate that. I don't know if I really believe that you.
No, I don't
think
at
it was
all.
a great poll, but
it's too early poll.
We're a third of the way through the season.
Well, it's a bye week, so it's a measuring stick moment. It's an opportunity. 50% of you say 6 through 8. 38.7 of you say 9 through 12. 8% top 5. Whew.
I love the optimism.
That's Gamecock Larry's burner accounts. And just 3.3%.
It's got a lot of them.
Larry knows what's up.
They are active.
3.3% say 13th or lower. This is only going to run through the program, so today's program. So
do we have a top 5 defense that can keep us in it, and our special teams are borderline there? They keep us in these games, and if offense keeps growing,
statistically, I don't know that they're top 5, but they are good, man.
We can get to that.
Yeah.
Because I think of top 5 pass rush.
Today's other poll.
Today's other poll, we are now that we're a third of the way through the season, what record do you see the Gamecocks finishing at? 8-4, 7-5, 6-6, or other? We can give you the results on the other side.
All right. Oh, is it time to go?
Let you sit on it.
Oh, it is time to go. All right.
Let it stew.
We'll be right back. Let me tell you about our great friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, in business across the Midlands of South Carolina since 1936. And now 14 branches all across the Midlands, helping you out with any and all of your banking needs, whether it's checking, savings, credit cards, car loans, student loans, mortgages, home equity lines, really money for any reason, banking needs, you've got it right there. CDs and other investment tools, they can do a lot of things for you at Palmetto Citizens, and some fantastic low rates on car loans as well. Go shop for that next vehicle, especially here in tailgating or hunting season. And then check with Palmetto Citizens before you finance anywhere else. Learn about any and all of the things that they do when you log on to palmettocitizens.org. My wife and I, very happy members for years now. Love the service we get from them, and we think you will too. Check them out online. Do all kinds of great things with Palmetto Citizens and achieve your potential. Talking Gamecock football with Ryan Brewer. It's Brewsday on the Postgame show. Jay, Elijah, Ryan in the house. And when Ryan is in the house, it is always very convenient to let you know that it's brought to you by Ryan Brewer and Ryan Brewer Fence.
Yeah, the good people at Ryan Brewer Fence.
Most of them.
Most of them are really, really good people. And
Lane Walford's good guy.
They're out
Casey Moody's cool.
in this unbelievable weather right now, putting up some fence and railing and all over the great state of South Carolina. If you have a need for a fence around your house, for your pool, your pet, or your commercial property, anything like that, we can take care of you. Just go to ryanbrewer.net. And that's you got Casey. Casey can take care of you. Billy, Lane. Lane's down in the Moncks Corner, Charleston area, kicking some tail right now.
Rapidly growing.
Yeah. It's bring back some old memory lanes of the radio shows we did back in the day, way back in the
Long
day.
time ago, man. It's crazy.
But yeah, so it's just ryanbrewer.net and go on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. We're there for you. And wall art and mailboxes, custom work. We can do pretty much whatever your heart desires. We can do it for you.
Temporary fence for your backyard haunted trail.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Got a plan
Every year. So I'm not going to do it, but it's.
Oh, come on. That's like saying it. That's like somebody that would say, "Yeah, I think this year I'm not going to put up a Christmas tree."
It's a little bit different, but I think this year's actually might be on the weekend, right? Halloween may be off Friday.
The 28th, I think, the 26th is a Saturday. That
so now.
South Carolina's on a bye week. 27th would be a Sunday. 28th Monday.
Halloween's a
Tuesday,
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Well, it'll be a long weekend. Maybe I can have it up for multiple days.
There you
It's
go.
kind of tough to do all that for
Start charging admission,
3 hours of work.
That's what you need
Or
to
3
do.
hours no, I can't do that. But
An
it's
extra revenue
definitely-
stream.
It's definitely fun. So maybe I can do it at a bigger venue somewhere. Like you said, it needs to be done somewhere downtown.
Oh, and the Ryan Brewer. Listen, if the Ryan Brewer Haunted Trail experience was incorporated into a larger area, because it's for real, man. Like, I mean, it's y'all think like what do you got? Like somebody in Ryan's backyard with a sheet on, like just going boo. No, it is not. Right? They got
He goes all out.
They got strobe lights, and you got people in cages like screaming at you, and people with no arms, and little kids that hit Ryan with lightsabers, including one with my last name. Who?
Yeah, that usually takes about what
When he was coaching her, I might add, in soccer. So
She was benched the next day.
that's right.
Assault against coach. Yeah.
Actually, Ryan had to miss the next game. Injury.
I wasn't hurt.
No, I don't think she hit it. I think she knew it was you, but I still remember that. What was she, like 6, 7, maybe?
Yeah. It's we've been doing this for a minute now.
It's been a while. She's 16 now. I'll say that much.
And every year you try to, it's hard because my yard's only so big. So you're trying to get bigger and better every year is tough, but it's.
Well, eventually incorporate the pool. Nobody can go in it, but maybe a floating body in the pool.
We've
or
had that.
Some type of
There's a lot of little things you don't see when you get scared and you run out so quick like you do.
Yeah. Well, I don't even go anymore.
Can't be observant.
No, I don't even go. I just.
It used to be like we do all these little props everywhere, and when it gets dark, you can't see them.
Right.
And once the fog machines and strobes go, like it's all about live characters. It's live characters and just people, getting in the fetal position. That's all it's about.
Oh, and screaming children.
Yep.
Nothing that, taking. Hey, kid.
I have hours and hours of video of just people screaming.
Yeah. I guess little kid, like, hey, buddy, you were going to live to be 82. Now you're just going to be 74. But have fun.
Hours and hours of people screaming footage of it is a very normal person thing to own. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've had some good ones. I'm saying some like kids running out of their shoes and just running it, like just dead sprint. We're not supposed to run. Do not run. We don't touch you, whatever. But this kid turned around, just went dead sprint and ran straight into a fence and just fell down. Shoes were gone, bag, candy everywhere. And he just sat there for a minute. He shook his head. He was okay. Then got up and ran again.
Blocker charge.
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh, come on, little buddy, you're all right.
That's the cartoon, like, yeah, that thing.
Or like when the cartoon quite literally runs out of the shoes and shoes stay there. They don't run off.
That's what happened.
They'll fall off. Like in the run, they fall off because.
I like when Scooby and Shaggy run off the side of a building and they're, you get to stay in the air for a second until they realize they're in the air and then they fall. Things like that are always good too. Anyway, ryanbrewer.net for all of those fencing needs. All right, what does this football team need to be most concerned about that the team themselves, can correct, work on this week?
I think it's still the trenches offensively. Just getting some push up there and trying to be better on first, second down runs and doing that, and just being consistent. We're getting still too many situations, third and longs, and trying to get fourth down conversions against Akron. But there's just too many times between the tackles we're struggling. We went outside because we're just better athletes in this game. Every time we went perimeter, it was a big gain. And I think the coaches knew that, and so they were just, all right, let's work on this. Let's try to go inside. Let's try to pound it. Let's try to get some movement. All right, we're okay. Now let's run Robbie around the edge, type deal.
Right.
Or whoever it was at that time. So we got to get better at that. And that first down, just getting some push and getting in positive yards, so we can. Then the playbook opens up. That's the biggest thing. I think you're seeing the playbook. It looked fluid Saturday. It looked like we had some really good play calls. We come from running and passing, but that's things. Just getting confidence in that going on, and having a quarterback that, okay, we're getting going here. I know what he can do, can't do, and now all of a sudden, if you can get into situations where you're at 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 10, right. Your playbook is wide open to do whatever you want, and that just makes it so much harder on our defense.
Certainly, and then in terms of like things to work on during a bye week too, we don't really know the status of Lenora Sellers. We're not going to for another week because there's no press conference this week. There's no Carolina calls. And I guess there's only one chance for Shane to speak, and that's in a teleconference, which I guess is tomorrow. But if he isn't able to practice a ton, how much would that worry you in the 2 weeks leading up to the Ole Miss game? Not just if he's able to play or not, but if he even plays, how can he avoid, I guess, maybe getting some rust? Because he has made some significant progress in terms of gelling in this offense from week 1 to the first half of that LSU game.
I think it's a big deal because he's still a young guy. He's still a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He's still hasn't got a lot of snaps. It's not, you're not talking about a senior that, hey man, I can miss all week and come in like all the NFL guys do. They don't let practice at all. And all of a sudden, come Sunday, I can play. These guys, they got to know, they got to get a feel for the game, what the defense is bringing at them. That's a huge deal. What the scout team's showing, what Ole Miss does, and you have 2 weeks to prepare for it, which is awesome. But if you also need to rest him, you got to figure out where he is, physically, if he can, if that ankle is going to go or not. But he's got to be getting mental reps. If he can't get them physically, he's got to be in there every time Robbie's snapping the ball. He's actually in his head with him, taking the drop backs with him mentally, seeing what he should be seeing, standing behind him and seeing everything what's going on, and getting really dialed in mentally. So when that does come, you can see what's happening at you when the live bullets are flying. But it's definitely a good time to have this off with what we got going on. I mean, the rest you can take this whole week off and still get mental reps, and then next week you're starting to really prepare for Ole Miss physically. And I think we'll be fine there. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. I think he's gonna be okay. And I think that we have a heck of a training staff and all that. We'll get him ready.
Shane mentioned that no matter what, they were going to get some more guys involved in the run game. Did not anticipate Rocket Sanders going out as early as he did. A, how much does that concern you from what you saw? Then B, your impressions of what you saw behind him.
I'm not sure the whole injury situation there. I think it was one of those, all right, I didn't like him in a boot on the sideline, but at the same time, I don't think it was that huge of an injury without seeing it live there. But it was one of those deals. It's like, okay, we get the twos in right away. You get Attaway in right away. You get Howland. You get at the very end, you get Bradley Dunn in, get a couple carries in. So it was awesome to see those guys come in with confidence and run the ball hard. I think Attaway, his straight ahead hits the hole super hard. Sometimes he's maybe too fast. As he got slow it down a little bit so you see the hole and go type deal, especially on zone plays. But it was good to see the young guys getting in there, running there. Like I said, he's getting in the end zone, getting confidence. That's a big deal, especially if Rocket can't go. And now also for the coaches as well, know, hey, these guys, can they pick up protections? Which I didn't really go back and see how they did on that pass protections, because
I'll be honest, that's not something I look for in my replay watch either. So.
And I usually do, and that's especially running back wise. I usually look at that, but I did not, and I feel like I failed on that test, because that's the biggest deal. Rocket's got to stay in because he's the best protection. Well, for these young guys, being able to pick it up and getting that confidence is a huge deal.
More with Ryan as Brewsday rolls on the postgame show. Time to win some tickets, huh?
That's right.
Wow, they lit up quick. Good luck, people. Do we know what caller it is? Do I need to say that?
Say it.
Which one do you want it to be?
3.
Okay, there it is.
There it is. Caller
3.
3. And I'm looking at him right now. So they're about to
right.
hear my sweet, sweet voice.
Congratulations, line 3. I don't know your name because it says wireless caller, but congratulations, wireless caller. We'll find out your name in a minute. We have spoken to you many, many times through the years about the differences in being hurt and being injured. When you're hurt, you play because everybody's hurt because it's football. When you're injured, you probably shouldn't play. And I told you to hold a story about one of the only times you missed. But basically, I kind of joke here, and then you can tell the actual story. But I figured that you probably hurt your ankle like your first ever game and probably still have it hurting 20 years later.
Yeah, I think I hurt my ankle when I was 2 years old. And just had it, it was always swollen. But then it was really bad. Was it Outback Bowl? I got gator rolled, and I was fine.
Which one? The first one?
Second one.
Second one.
No, so then going into my, that one was bad. That's why I had to have surgery on it. But then LSU game, I did a double. It was first play of the game, second play of the game, did a double out route, and that dude just grabbed my ankle and twisted it all the side. The demon, I got it. Not supposed to say it, but I got it shot up. I was whatever, and I came back and played on one leg. That night was horrible. I mean, the edema pushed my bones apart, and I had to go to the hospital. It was the first game, so I had missed a Tennessee game the next week. It was the first game I've ever missed. But I was on the sideline with a boot. Didn't want to be. I think they say that boot's there for a couple of reasons. You're really hurt, or you're dumb like me, and they're making a precaution because they think that you're going to go, either do something, run up and down the field, or you're going to find a way to put your pads on
to get in the game.
Yeah. I think the boot is locked. They like a special key to make sure I couldn't take it off.
Like what they put on your car when you're in
it's that boot. It was yellow and everything.
There's Brewer on the field. He's a little slower today.
He's dragging it with me. What's wrong with you? They want to make sure I don't get on the field. So no, that was one of the that was horrific hospitals and whatever that I had to go through. But it just stinks being on the sideline, not being able to help your team. Mm-hmm. And you always, no matter what it is, you think you can. That's why I think it's tough for Lenoris and hopefully Rocket. They'll be fine. But if they are in an instance where maybe they are hurt, not quite injured, and they the staff or whoever says you got to be in a boot or you can't play in this game, even like this week,
right?
You can tell. You just looking on Rocket's face, he's like, man, I want to be out there.
Yeah,
it's sad. I don't want to be. I didn't do all this work to sit on the bench and watch someone else get
especially the
yards and
playing,
touchdowns, right? And whatever. Stats mean something to these guys too. This is a game where they could have got a lot of stats. Yeah. They got had some fun out there, but big picture, we need them ready for Ole Miss, and I think that's what they're doing. Get them ready because we need both those guys to ball out next 2 Saturdays from now.
I got just over a minute left here, and I'm going to talk about this in the next hour, but we have talked about this with you as well. You've probably seen Reggie Bush is suing the NCAA and Southern Cal over NIL money that he never was able to get. And we've talked with you before about how many number 21 jerseys were sold when you were playing. And then I was telling Elijah, I remember doing a show after you were playing, but when Deuce and Michael and I were down at Adams one time, and there were number 7s and number 5s and number 21s, that for Marcus and things like that. And man, why don't you just give them $5 a jersey? What's the problem here? Just seriously.
You couldn't at that time.
No. So, but my point even then was $5 a jersey. They're not gonna make bank on this, but hey, it's a little something for the effort because you're making all the money.
You get the royalty fee that the university makes whatever percentage it is on that. So on top of it, what can you do? That's why I get NIL. That's 100%. That makes sense to me. If you're buying someone's jersey because you like someone should get that money.
Remember when AJ Green got in trouble for just selling one of his jerseys?
We got guys getting hurt for haircuts. We got guys getting in trouble for tattoos. We got whatever. Now it's Wild Wild West, man. Yeah. So I don't know what Reggie can get out of this, and we're about on the same level of NIL money. I'm sure so whatever he gets, I want to get as well. Right? That's how it works, right?
It's market value, man. Yeah.
Market value.
But we've said before that the fact of the matter is, and I know you and the family are doing fine now, but you were really popular here. I want you to know that if you didn't already, and you could have done some things. And I'm just curious as to what his case may do in terms of setting any kind of legal precedent. I don't think it's going to do much, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think one of the things about the House settlement is a statute of limitations. So there may just be, but I don't know, in different states.
It's going to open up something for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be.
A lot of people are going to start thinking, what could I have gotten? And people are already thinking that.
So, good stuff as always.
Yeah,
RyanBrewer.net.
Let's beat that Idell State.
There you go. And Ryan21 Brewer on Twitter. Hour 2 coming up. 4 o'clock on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thanks, as always, to our good friend Ryan Brewer for hanging out on Brewsday here. Final one of September.
Bye-week Brewsday.
It is, right? Because, next Tuesday is October 1, man.
Ooh, rent's due. Don't like the sound of that.
Well, it was due on this 1st of September as well. You paid it, right?
Last I checked.
Far as you know.
And Monopoly money.
Far as you know. I do want to get into this, and I don't know, where this is going to go next. But if you haven't heard, Reggie Bush is going to sue Southern California and the University of Southern California and the NCAA. And it's over NIL compensation that he obviously never received, but believes that he should have. It was filed in state court in California yesterday. It claims the defendants, again, the NCAA, Southern Cal, Pac-12 is also a defendant. Bless their heart.
What's left of them.
R.I.P. Claims the defendants committed unreasonable restraints of trade or commerce, unfair practices, and unjust enrichment by profiting off Bush's NIL even after he left the University of Southern California. His lawyers say in a statement, quote, even after Reggie transitioned to his successful NFL career, these entities continued to benefit financially from his reputation without any acknowledgement of his contribution. Of course, as we speak, and really, I told Elijah this morning, and I don't know if the timing of this filing is coincidental or intentional, but today is the 3-week mark. If you go back to a few weeks back, for attorneys with the NCAA, the defendants in the House settlement, and the attorneys for the plaintiffs, Jeffrey Kessler and his team, to go back to Judge Claudia Wilkin and clean up some of the language in the settlement because she did not like how some of this was structured. And without going into all of the legalese, she had one of the great quotes of all time, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase it, but she basically said to both sets of attorneys, people don't really like it when you just take things away from them. And like, ding. Yeah.
I don't know. At least I don't know of anyone who does.
You win, Judge. You win. So, the settlement, again, is out there, and both sides liked what they presented to her. She didn't like it, and she didn't tell them up or down where she was going to go with it. But you can gather with, hey, I'm giving you all 3 weeks to clean some of this up. She wasn't going to accept it as is. So she didn't do anything yet. She just said, I'm going to give you a chance. It doesn't mean that when they bring it back to her, I mean, it's currently 1 o'clock in the afternoon in her courtroom. They're probably out there right now. I don't know which way she's going to go. Regardless, this is now going to be separate. That's the point I'm ultimately leading up to, including the fact that the NCAA, the Pac-12, and obviously by virtue of the Pac-12 at the time having been home to Southern Cal, which is now in the Big Ten, they are already a defendant in this case as well. And in that one, there's a nearly $3 billion settlement. I think it's like 2.8 paid out over 10 years. But it only goes back to 5 years before the filing because that's the statute of limitations. Now, Reggie Bush played, 15 years-ish before the filing? So, and in this piece at The Athletic, Stuart Mandel wrote it. He mentions that the 1983 NC State men's basketball team, which became one of the more iconic champions of all time, and has had a lot written about, filmed, televised, has done the same thing. And what kind of precedent these things are ultimately going to set, I know it kind of bogs this all down again in the business of college athletics, but one of the things you and I talked about this morning, Elijah, as we were kind of prepping to talk about this a little bit is there's only a finite amount of cash regardless. And I'm not saying that they're going to end college sports as we know it. But remember, one of the reasons that this House settlement became so crucial was if you took it to court, and in that case, if the NCAA decided to fight the students and former students that had sued them, and the NCAA lost, the damages could actually be like double what this settlement is. Again, in more like the $6 billion range. And this would not necessarily end all of the potential litigation that could come their way. And we clearly see that here's another one. And Reggie Bush is, I mean, I mentioned, and I'm not trying to compare them directly, but I mentioned that the 1983 NC State men's basketball team, very iconic. Reggie Bush, very iconic, man. And Reggie Bush was a spectacular college football player at a big-time school in a big-time city. At the time, Pac-12 was doing well, and Southern Cal was great, and they were producing Heisman winners again. He was one of, 3 in a 5-year stretch? Carson Palmer, did Leinart win that?
Leinart won one, yep. So
Palmer, Leinart, and Bush.
Yeah, that's a 4-year stretch of 3 Heisman winners.
And I'm not going to sit here and say, and Reggie was the best. Reggie was, he could do it all, man. If they'd let him play quarterback, I might have been fun.
Most electrifying college football player of that decade, I'd say.
I think a lot of people feel that way. And so he is someone who maybe rises above even the typical star player. He becomes more of the superstar player. If he's successful, how many doors does that open? And I don't know what this looks like. I'm not a lawyer, and I certainly don't know anything at all about California law. When I ask law questions, it's typically of lawyers in the Carolinas that I know. So this is troubling. And it brings me to a point, and I know now I'm trying to be not a revisionist historian, but this always brings me back to, man, if you guys had listened when the Ed O'Bannon case was filed and done something about it. I just mentioned to Ryan Brewer, going back to, 15 years ago or so, just thinking about doing shows at Adams Bookstore or at the time Garnet and Black Traditions and seeing, and this isn't about the stores that were selling them. They're just selling product, but the universities giving the players, because the universities had to sign off. I don't know if Carolina fan, Clemson fan, Georgia fan, Ohio State fan, Tennessee fan, whatever. How many Peyton Manning jerseys got sold in the 1990s?
An obnoxious amount. There are a lot of kids named Peyton,
right?
That are roughly, 26 years old right now.
Yeah.
Because of that man.
Yeah. And those players got $0 for any of those jerseys, and that's why I say, if you sell a $75 number 7 back in 2010, 11, 12, whatever, give Jadeveon $5 per jersey.
He'd make good money.
He's not turning into Warren Buffett, but it's something, some of something, Elijah. Hear me out. Some of something is more than none of nothing.
You can't go broke making a profit.
So, but if they had just done these things in little ways, incrementally,
or just having the foresight to be able to lowball them. That's the point in time. You can lowball them. You really can. Just speaking in plain terms here, you can absolutely lowball what those students would have been, student athletes would have been, but what they could have earned in an open market. You could have put a total cap on it at the time because the movement to enhance that just wasn't there. And then, you can at least for 20 years take away what you're having to pay for now. You're already, $3 billion for lawsuits up to 2016? $3 billion for athletes played 2016 on. You can at least take away 10 years, 20 years of that if you're at least be able to do even the little things like that, even if it's just breadcrumbs. We see the NFL in negotiations with the Players Association all the time. They don't give them much. It's not like the Players Association wins every bargaining agreement, ever. It's actually rarely that you'd consider that the Players Association does it. But the NFL gives them little breadcrumbs to keep from having to settle big picture problems later on. You could have easily done it just by lowballing them early, but they didn't even want to do that because greed.
Yeah. And, And I come back around. This isn't in defense of the decision makers at the time. I mean, look, coaches make a lot of money, and schools took in large amounts of revenue, and we do know that especially at the level of sports we're talking about around here, the football revenue pays for almost everything else, and I think most student athletes are fine with that. But you still deserve yours. And I will come back again to a point that I've made with you, as you and I have discussed the business of college athletics many times. When Carolina and Arkansas joined the league, I won't get into all the details now, but I'll just say that inflation in this country has grown by about 100% since that time, whereas revenues into the Southeastern Conference have grown by more than 1,000% over the same amount of time. So there is plenty of money. It's a matter of how it's used. Now, again, coaching salaries have escalated. A lot of places are building amazing football and basketball facilities. Hell, Texas A&M is getting ready to spend another $80+ million on the ballpark, and they just renovated their. I'm talking baseball. They just renovated it right when they came into the Southeastern Conference, and they're going to spend $80 million on it again, 12 years later. They spent $400 and something million on Kyle Field when they joined the league.
There's a lot of money there.
And again, whatever. I'm not judging. My point is, there's plenty of money. You're spending money on a lot of things, but things like this could have been avoided, and they weren't. But again, I don't know how far back you can go. But if he's successful in some way, he will not be the only one. It isn't like other student athletes are going to go, "Oh, good for Reggie, man," and leave it at that. So I'd be a little concerned right now if I'm the brass of the NCAA, because I can sit here and talk about things they should have done and they didn't do. But at the same time, it was staring you in the face. It was, I'll use another analogy. It was sitting in the car with you. You're driving, and these problems, these issues, these concerns were sitting in the passenger seat, telling you they were right there, and you're like, "Shh, I'm driving." Like, no, you're getting. I'm trying to help you navigate too. You're missing the. No, I'm not missing the turn.
They had the person in the passenger seat, and they had about 55 road closure signs on the road. They just kept ignoring them.
Right.
Sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Yeah.
Right, keep on going.
Yeah. You drive into, remember the.
Or it just says cliff ends right here. Turn around in 5 miles.
There's a great episode of The Office where Michael is convinced that no matter what, the GPS is going to be right. And so he just keeps listening to the GPS, and it tells him to turn into a pond. So he turns right into the pond. That's the NCAA, man. It's like, no, that's a pond. Again, these problems are sitting next to you. That's a pond. My instructions are to follow what this thing says.
And then floor it.
And just
put that pedal to the ground, baby, and fly off this cliff.
Straight into the pond. And that's where we are. Only instead of a pond where you can maybe drag it back out, this feels more like you just drove it into the Atlantic Ocean.
Where things have notoriously not been able to come out of there.
And just kept on going. Yeah, there might be a couple of big boats down there. One of them you've heard of.
Somewhere down there.
Anyway, all right. So I again, just bringing that up, I don't know how successful Reggie will be. I imagine there are plenty that are pulling for him. I imagine there are plenty pulling against him at this point in time. More business of college athletics. It looks like the Pac-12 is going to grow, but with who exactly? I got to tell you, the next school that's going to join is not one I was thinking was going to go, oh, well, there's one for you. That and more as the postgame show continues. Welcome back into the post-game show. Jay and Elijah with you. I got some breaking college news to get to in just a second. It has to do with some things that are going on out west, but it is brand new information. Before that, though, I want to remind you that Sips and Sounds is coming up this Saturday night. This should be a lot of fun. Unlimited sampling of over 40 brands of local and national craft beers, wine, seltzers, spirits. Live performances by Ken and Drew from Sister Hazel, Dazer, the Donovan Twins. It's all this Saturday. I believe that's going to be down near Williams-Brice. If you're wondering where this is going to be, I think that's right.
That'd be correct.
Thank you. Are you sure? I'm not just like throwing darts in the air, am I?
No. If my understanding of it, yeah.
Cool. Thanks. That's what
it sounds.
I need you to back me up on that because
you give me that look and I automatically start second guessing myself.
Well, I thought I had known that as well, but there's a poster around here somewhere that said where it was, and because it doesn't say on this. They just give me stuff to read, man.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
That's right. Sometimes that's all we are.
Here's the worst part about me, right? I can know something. But if I'm not like a 1,000%, like I am 99% sure. But you get someone gives me a look, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. I second guess myself.
Hang on, I'm going to do this live on the radio. You keep talking. I'm going to go away from the microphone here. I'll leave it on.
Leave it on so whenever you yell, it can pick it up. But I'm like 99.999% sure that it's at Sound and Images, which is right next to Williams-Brice, which is where we do our pregame shows for home football games every Saturday.
It's at the Carolina Haven.
Just kidding.
Down there somewhere. All right. Is that good enough?
That's good enough for me.
Thank you. SipsandSoundsCola.com. Should be fun. And I think you can get these things.
That was smooth. Very smooth. No hitches in that whatsoever. I think we could not have been better.
I said there was a poster out there somewhere. Just had to go look at it. I'm just trying to help these people out, man. If I got to read it, I may as well do them a solid. You know? Because I like craft beer. I like rock and roll.
I do love craft beer and rock and roll.
So there you go.
And craft beer. Did I mention that part?
There you go.
I do love craft beer.
Craft beer, rock and roll, and craft beer. Really, what more does anybody need? All right, poll questions today. Let's. I'll go to. We got two. First one. The Gamecocks football team was picked to finish 13th this season at SEC Media Days with 4 games played, and the team at 3-1, 1-1 in conference. Where do you currently see them in the conference pecking order? A, top 5. B, 6 through 8. So that's 6th, 7th, or 8th. Your choice. C, 9 through 12. Same thing. D, 13th or lower. And right now, 51.5% of you say in the 6 to 8 range, with 37% of you saying the 9 to 12 range, 8.5% top 5. Ooh.
That's ambitious.
It is.
I do love ambition.
I love, again, as we joked earlier, that's all of Gamecock Larry's burner accounts.
Are active.
And just 3% say 13th or lower. I think, I mean, look, 8 is middle of the pack. You played a good game with LSU. You dominated Kentucky, and that's all we've seen.
Yeah.
So for now, yeah.
You had a disappointing game against Old Dominion. You played above expectation against Akron.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if we're being real with ourselves, I think you played above expectation in 3 of the 4 games you played this year.
Yes.
So in theory,
That's fair.
You should be finishing above what your expectation was this year. For me, that was, I believe, 13th in the 12th.
I voted them
12th.
I voted them 11th. I think I put Florida and Auburn just behind South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas I think Florida and Auburn finished just above South Carolina in the actual vote.
Yeah, I think I had them above. I almost had them above Auburn. Maybe I'm pulling it up right now, so that way I can give you a for sure.
And we
had
have
South Carolina 12th. Yes, I had Florida above them, and I had Florida at 11, Auburn at 13. I will take my victory lap on Auburn, though. I was not very high on them.
They didn't look good the other day, man.
Yeah,
Did you see what Hugh? Well, we'll talk about Hugh Freeze later. We'll talk about him in the drive around. But like, come on, Hugh.
A guy who is very good at taking responsibility for his failures. Everywhere he's gone. Stand-up individual.
You want to do the other one real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. The other poll that we have is on the 107.5 The Game Twitter at 107.5 The Game, naturally, pinned to the top of the profile. Poll question of the day, now that we're 1/3 of the way through the season, what record do you see the Gamecocks finishing at? 8-4, 7-5, 6-6, or other, in which we ask you to comment. We have 4.6% of the votes going to other, but no comments. So the math ain't mathing. But 39.9% say 7-5, 32.7% say 6-6, 22.9% an optimistic 8-4. I think I'm leaning 7-5 though. I think your roadmap to 7-5. The beginning of the year, I was thinking
That's asking you to go 500 the rest of the way,
very doable.
which includes Wofford and Vanderbilt.
Yes, very doable.
I mean, you can, you can win one of these games in October. I almost feel, and I know this sounds crazy to say,
You can't go 0 for October.
yeah, you need to win, and really you shouldn't be. You're not. How do I want to word this? Like, expecting you to go 1-2 in this doesn't seem unreasonable to me. Now you would say, okay, Jay, which game should they win if you expect them to win one of them? And that becomes the more problematic question to answer. The home game is probably the one that you would say is most winnable because it's at home. I feel like going to Tuscaloosa is going to be really hard.
That's going to be very, very difficult.
They're great, y'all. I know people want to believe, well, I don't know if Alabama's good. We're going to find out a lot about Alabama this weekend. We're going to find out a lot about Georgia this weekend too. That's a hell of a contest for the last weekend of September. Oklahoma's defense is great. I know they don't score points.
Kind of a prerequisite.
But South Carolina and Oklahoma, that could get interesting. I'm not predicting a South Carolina win in Norman, so somebody out there is going to run. Jay Phillips said that they're going to win in Norman. That's not what Jay Phillips is saying.
Elijah Campbell might be saying that.
But if your defense continues on the trajectory that it seems to be on, I like your opportunity to make that a fourth quarter game.
I mean, you ran the ball on LSU pretty well, didn't you?
Yep.
Tennessee ran the ball all over Oklahoma.
Yep. I think they're still running, man.
Yeah.
Josh was like, you know what? I don't even want to throw.
Josh Heupel knew he could run the ball. They had, minus sacks, they had 49 rushing attempts.
I think even the most pass-happy coach out there, now there's occasional times when the answer, or this would not be the case, but even the most pass-happy coach, when they know after whatever point in the game, hey, they can't stop us from running, you're going to run.
Shades of Michigan at Penn State last year. They didn't throw it all in the second half.
I remember a game, and I hate to twist it around this way, but I remember a game Carolina played in Gainesville under Will, and y'all Carolina fans remind me, I think in the fourth quarter of that game, Florida didn't throw a pass.
If you don't need to, why do it?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, if you don't need to throw, don't throw. I mean, sometimes I know you just want to, and that's why I say there might be that guy, for instance, the Auburn game here, I think during COVID, right, y'all? Help me out again. The Chad Morris game. I was like, why are y'all throwing? Why are you throwing? They had Tank Bigsby. I was like, why are you throwing? And Auburn ended up, because they threw like 3 picks. You didn't need to throw the football. The game Carolina won in Athens. When McQuamu had the return. Hey, why are you throwing? Like
thanks.
For Carolina fans, like, thanks. Yeah, but why are you throwing? You don't need to throw the ball. Run the ball. So, anyway, I like Carolina's opportunity to potentially make that a fourth quarter game, but I feel like you need to go 1-2 at worst.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you go over, but I think again, is asking them to go 4-4 the rest of the way unreasonable?
Not with somehow the other teams that you're playing at home have looked. No. Missouri's performed under expectation. Texas A&M is, we don't really know.
Yeah. I'll get to that breaking news out west when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with absolutely no accidents to report to you whatsoever. That's
Get
right.
out.
I said it.
Nothing?
Jay Phillips. Nothing. Nada.
Just make one up, man.
Zilch.
Just make one up.
Absolutely.
Make one
I
up.
don't know what to tell you,
All
bud.
right.
I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing, but there is some long-term road construction that might be causing some traffic backup. I mean, it's been worked on for a while, but that's
Well,
on
that's even
I-20.
worse then.
Exit 64 to exit 65, so I guess drive slowly through there. Same on 26 between exit 108A and exit 125. But, that's the good news of the day. Way to go, gang. We're doing it. No accidents. Keep driving safely, and hopefully I say this again in the next hour.
We were just talking about a few things around Carolina football with our poll questions. Please answer those. You can see them both at 1075thegame.com. Or not 1075thegame.com. 1075thegame on Twitter.
Yeah, if you go to our website, you will not see them.
Well, you could probably have is there a link to our Twitter page on the website?
I reckon there is somewhere.
All right, see? So I basically got that right.
Basically, but not.
Thanks for your support, Elijah Campbell. I appreciate you, man.
I've been told I'm a very good listener, a very good supportive friend.
Your mom was lying to you.
Yeah, probably.
Or was that your sister?
Yeah, all the above.
There you go.
They're all lying to me.
That's right.
Because they're also great friends and great supportive.
The Lawyer Lisa special teams contest is back. We're not lying about this. If Carolina scores a special teams touchdown, somebody pockets $100 a game, kind of a thing. Only here's how it works. If they don't, it rolls over. Well, it's rolled over again. Now, we don't play again until the Ole Miss contest in a couple of weeks, which means $500 will be up for grabs if there is a special teams touchdown for the Gamecocks, not for the opponent. But you have to register to win. And you can do that at 1075thegame.com.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, you know what we should do? No, this would be really fun. Actually, this is not something they're probably going to do whenever we do this contest in the future. If the opposing team scores a special teams touchdown, instead of adding to the pot, we take out. It's like the penny wards that people used to do in school, which, I mean, I was a madman at the elementary school penny wars, right? I took that mess seriously. I was here to win. I was not here to mess around. I wanted that class pizza party. So, yeah, you bet I was dropping some $5 bills in the buckets of my friends' homeroom classes. Absolutely. Was doing that like a madman. And similar principle here. if Ole Miss runs a kickoff for a touchdown, instead of the pot being at $500, bam, $400. They blocked a kick, touchdown. $300 for them. You have to have a positive special teams touchdown ratio to continuously making money in this. Special teams isn't just one-sided.
You should bring that up.
It will get vetoed very hard. I'm
Yeah,
sure. But you know what? I like my idea a lot.
Well,
it's a little more juice.
It does add intrigue. I'll certainly say that much to you. Speaking of intrigue, breaking news from Chris Vanini of The Athletic. This afternoon, the Pac-12 filed a lawsuit against the Mountain West, arguing that the tens of millions the Pac-12 owes the Mountain West in poaching fees amounts to an antitrust violation. By now, most of you know that 2 weeks ago, the Pac-12, which really is currently just Oregon State and Washington State, announced the addition of 4 Mountain West schools: Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State. The fee that the Mountain West is owed for those schools leaving is $43 million on top of an $18 million per school exit fee. Says the complaint, again filed today in California. Quote, the poaching penalty saddles the Pac-12 with exorbitant and punitive monetary fees for engaging in competition by accepting Mountain West Conference member schools into the Pac-12. The Mountain West imposed this poaching penalty at a time when the Pac-12 was desperate to schedule football games for its 2 remaining members and had little leverage to reject this naked restraint on competition. But that does not make the poaching penalty any less illegal, and the Pac-12 is asking the court to declare this provision invalid and unenforceable. My goodness, that sounds a lot like what Florida State and Clemson are doing.
A little bit.
Only Florida State and Clemson went into it more more willingly with a longer period of time passing in between. I don't know enough about this, but I mean, Pac-12, Oregon State, Washington State. I mean, did you not do what Clemson and FSU did? Did you knowingly and willingly sign this? Did you have your attorneys go over this with not one, but maybe 2 or even 3 fine-tooth combs? Dun, dun, dun.
Conference realignment's dumb.
Why didn't the Mountain West and the Pac-12 just get their bleep together and just merge, man?
Just kiss already.
Just, I mean,
there's so much romantic tension.
Yeah. I mean, just Mountain West Conference has been a good, strong G5 conference. The name just goes away, and you get to incorporate a great brand name. No, you will not be the once proud Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12, but you can still be a strong league. And I'm dead serious about that. And I mean, if you were to incorporate the rest of the Mountain West into this thing, UNLV, Wyoming, New Mexico, I know these aren't, you know, Southern Cal and Arizona and Washington. I get it, but it's still, it's good schools. It's big state U's. Today the Pac-12 added Utah bleeping State. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that sounds mean, but I mean,
but also Mountain West. Like that's
the third best school in Utah. And I don't mean that like from an academic, but I mean, Utah is not, I mean, it's like, I mean, this is going to sound, I don't mean this as a slam on my buddy Chance Miller and Coastal Carolina University. But it'd be like somebody, like the Pac-12, you know, like the ACC adding Coastal. It's like, well, could you not get South Carolina or Clemson? No, they're already taken. You know, Utah and BYU are in the Big 12. And those are the 2 biggest brands in, and look at them. I mean, they're 8-0 combined, man. They're doing great in football. But Utah State?
They are.
I mean, Utah State? Give me Weber State, you know?
I mean, at this point, it's kind of like...
I don't think Dame's walking through that door, though, is he?
No, he is not. He absolutely is not walking through that door. But it's almost kind of like trick-or-treating when you got into the party really late. You know, you got into the neighborhood at like 10 p.m. Everyone's like, turn the lights off, but there's some candy like out in a bowl in front of the door. But it's all Almond Joys. It's all Almond Joys. And I don't care what you tell me, they're disgusting. They're so gross. And you're stuck with those Almond Joys. Do you want candy in your bag? Well, you came too late. Sorry, that's all we can do. You take these Almond Joys and you pretend to like them for the sake of it. That's all you have. And at this point, beggars cannot be choosers, which is why this whole conference realignment phase right now is beyond pathetic. We're fighting over Almond Joys, and I'm so sick of it. I will never fight over an Almond Joy in my life. Haven't. Who cares? Be a conference of 2, or just or these 2 conferences just go and kiss already and join. Like I'm so over like the whole Pac-12 Mountain West thing. To me has just gotten so beyond stupid that this is the perfect microcosm of college athletics in 2024.
I don't mind an Almond Joy. I don't seek it out, but I don't mind it. You know what I used to hate as a kid though?
Almond Joys, disgusting.
No, I don't.
I'll say it again.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. If you don't like coconut, it doesn't really matter whether it's an almond or not.
There is no joy. No.
Those like fluffy, weird, like it was shaped like a peanut, but it was some kind of like chewy, not quite gummy, marshmallowy thing. You ever seen one of those? I used to hate those.
Oh, whoa. I don't know what they're called. Also disgusting, yes.
And I tell you what else.
Way too chewy.
I used to
stale marshmallow.
Yeah, they were terrible. I was like, well, this is not even, who even thought this was a good idea? Original Tootsie Roll is fine, but like they also had like a flavored, like a orange Tootsie Roll. Oh my.
Or like a lime green looking one.
Like I don't even know what this is. You know, this should be used to like patch holes in walls. Not for me to enjoy as a sweet treat.
Yeah, you're not supposed to chew on like caulk, right? Like that's it.
You're not supposed to.
You can. I mean, you can.
Yeah, it's got a
physically. You can do anything.
It's got a texture
right?
to it that you know is chewable.
But don't do it. Disgusting. Those things are kind of like that.
Yeah, you should. You should.
You're fighting for Almond Joys.
But Almond Joy,
congratulations. Congratulations, Pac-12.
That's fair. I get you make a fine point.
Or payday bars.
Oh no! I like payday.
I'm going.
I like payday.
I'm going there.
Again, not my favorite, but I like a payday.
Disgusting.
It's got a lot of good. So I like the caramel, the peanut, the salty, sweet. That's good. I like that. That's why I like a Take 5. Got that pretzel in the middle of it.
Yeah. Burnt myself out on those as a kid.
Well, that's your fault, man.
It is a lot like everything.
Don't eat so much candy, or spread the candy wealth around.
Never. No, absolutely not. I will hoard the means of candy production.
I will say, as kids, we do focus. I did the same thing with Twix. I kind of burned myself out on Twix because
That's very unfortunate for you.
we'll see. Now you feel the same way I do
do.
about some of these other things.
That's very unfortunate.
Do they still make the peanut butter Twix?
I have not seen them in a long time.
Yeah, because that was a good change of pace.
Been a hot minute.
But I
I
did.
actually never tried one, but I think in theory, I like it in theory.
Yeah, I burned out on the Twix. I used to eat probably way too many Twix.
I don't think I could if I tried.
Yeah, my good friend Kevin Asbel, my dentist, probably still is mad at me for not enjoying Twix as much anymore.
He'd say it's a change for the good.
Yeah, so maybe he's proud of me, maybe he's not. Braves postseason, air quotes, kind of starts tonight. Got details coming up. Welcome back into the postgame show on this Tuesday afternoon. Coming up, headlines of the day, more on our poll questions around Carolina football, drive around the SEC. Just a couple of craft beer cards left. You can get them for just $79, and it'll give you $360 in value at 12 different craft beer locations all around the Midlands. Go to 1075thegame.com, click on Sweet Deals, and find those. Just a few of those that are left. Thank you to those who have chimed in on the guest line as we, again, sometimes you never know what you're going to get around here.
This show's like a box of chocolates.
It is, and we somehow got to talking about crappy Halloween candies.
And I pull up the text line just in case anybody was able to remember it. And there's just a string of text messages from multiple people that say Circus Peanuts, including one, I don't know, it's a nameless texter here, but sums it up perfectly. Circus Peanuts with the little vomiting face emoji.
Yeah. I mentioned, the thing that I did not want to get, because Elijah was talking about how the only thing that was left, we made an analogy, like somebody's got nothing but Almond Joy left in their bowl when they're not home. And I said I hated to get those circus peanut, but I didn't know what it was called. Just those squishy peanut-shaped thing.
I don't think I've ever had one that wasn't stale.
Why does it need to be in the shape of a peanut? That's what I don't even get. And this is going back. I mean, I'm 53 years old, so this goes back a ways. I'm like, what? Who decided? Hey, here, let's do this. Let's make an orange marshmallow thing in the shape of a peanut.
Well, see, Jay, if you made the candy that you called Circus Peanuts, anything else would be a little misleading.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Why don't we just make it a circus marshmallow and have some spooky, creepy clown face on it or something.
To indicate the horrors that lie ahead.
Or in the shape, how about this, Elijah? Maybe in the shape of a circus tent.
That's asking a lot.
I mean, they can make a mold of anything.
I mean, how many Michelangelo-esque artists do you think are just lying around here being able to make marshmallow figurines here?
And why a circus peanut? Is this so you could throw them like you do at ball games, only the kids would get hurt with real peanuts? And so at least with a soft, squishy peanut, and you're then you bite into a peanut. Oh, no, this is not
or
a
maybe
peanut.
This is a peanut
crappy
shell
marshmallow
you can eat and not just throw on the floor of a Logan's Roadhouse. There's one good text here. Jeff says, you talking about old circus peanuts. Every couple of years, I would mistakenly eat one and remember how much they sucked. I get it.
Dude, that should have, I hear you, Jeff, but I mean, after the third one, you'd be like, nope.
Not anymore. Soda City Bobby. Fun fact, I'm not even going to verify this because this is something that I would like to accept as historical fact. It says, interestingly enough, General Mills employees would chop them up and put them into their Cheerios. This is how we got Lucky Charms, since you asked. But he also agreed that circus peanuts were gross in a previous text.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
That's actually a cool, now I thank you, Soda City Bobby. Thank you, Soda City Bobby. That I can appreciate.
I can definitely appreciate that.
That's how the 3M people came up with Post-it notes, because they were trying to come up with a glue that would always keep sticking, only it didn't hold well. And so what they did is they had big vats of it in the R&D department of 3M in Minnesota. And they would take index cards of just ideas and stuff, and they would take this glue that it did always stick and you could peel it off and on. It just didn't hold heavy stuff. And then someday one of the executives came down how y'all hold this up? Like, yeah, we got this glue we tried to make, and it's not any good for heavy stuff, but it's good for this. He's like, that's genius, and that's where Post-it notes came from.
That is genius.
So
I love it.
But yeah, Lucky Charms. I'm not a big fan of Lucky Charms, but they're good. My favorite cereal with marshmallows back in the day was Boo Berry. Remember that one? You might not. For a while, they stopped making it.
My time,
but I think that was. But they brought it back not too long ago.
But I do love Lucky Charms. I don't think I've had a bowl of Lucky Charms in 15 years, but I definitely, as a kid, loved Lucky Charms. Hated the cereal, loved the marshmallows.
Yeah. Well,
so they evolved. It evolved to where it's not just a big peanut. I think I do prefer a bunch of little mini marshmallows that taste less stale and have a little more flavor to
Yeah. Yeah, Lucky Charms they're good. They're good.
Yeah, always a fan.
Yeah. But that makes sense. That's pretty cool. All right.
It's a fun fact.
All right,
I'll learn something today.
Yeah, I'll hold the Braves story. I'll throw that into the headlines.
That's right. 'Cause they do be playing playoff games, but unofficial playoff games.
Not official, but they basically are going to get that going tonight. We'll also update our poll questions on where you think the Gamecocks are 1 through 16 right now in the Southeastern Conference, and we have a poll question running on what you think the final record will be after a 3-1 September. So we'll do that for you. Update you on some of the other things going on. Again, there's a lot going on with the business of sports today. And again, for those of you Utah State graduates, I'm not picking on your school. Nobody said anything. I just want you to know that
A little bit.
I just didn't really think that was going to move the meter of the new Pac-12 Hour 3 coming up. Let me tell you about our good friends at Cato's Power Equipment. Ben and Matt and the crew, terrific people, got me into my Toro. I can't call it new anymore because it is not new. It is though a very big part of what I do with my yard work. In fact, it's about time to get behind the Toro Time Master again in my backyard here pretty soon. 30-inch deck has cut my mowing time in half, which is great because I like doing yard work, but I don't want to be out there all the time. But it's also time to have Ben and Matt put me into one of those new steel blowers. I'm very much in need of one of those. And they've got some great deals running on those right now. Some other great steel products, including $50 off steel chainsaws. Listen, we got some maybe potential bad weather moving in. You got those limbs coming down. I got to get them chopped up quick. Just good to have around for all kinds of uses. Listen, whether you cut your own backyard, keep it clean, or you do it for a living, you need to see Cato's for excellent sales, service, and advice. Again, terrific people, family-owned and operated since 1983. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, and always online at catospowerequipment.com.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with 0 accidents. Once again, 0, not even an accident to report to you. We do have some long-term road construction that still might be causing, I guess, a delay on 20 between exit 64 and 65. and on 26 between exit 108A and exit 125. But again, that long-term road construction has been active for a while, but no accidents to report that have caused traffic backups. So everything going pretty smoothly, and hope to be giving you a very similar report here in about 30 minutes.
That sounder never gets old. Welcome back in. It is the 5 o'clock news time. Also, the final hour of the postgame show here on this Tuesday alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Of course, no Shane Beamer press conference today, so not a whole lot more to report on what's going on around Gamecock football. No game this weekend. Carolina Ole Miss next Saturday at 3:30. By the way, the university is, I guess, asking, I don't want to say urging fans, asking fans to wear garnet to that one. So a garnet out of sorts for a Carolina Ole Miss. More details on that next week, I'm sure. But no injury reports or anything else today. Coach Beamer will be speaking tomorrow for a few minutes as part of the regularly scheduled SEC Coaches Teleconference. That happens every Wednesday morning. Each coach gets a few minutes. Usually there's very little to say, but we'll see if Shane has injury updates on Lenore Sellers, Raheem Sanders, Mykel Goodwine. Who else a little banged up? Jared Brown.
Jared Brown, yeah. The guy who leads the team in targets.
Yeah, so
at receiver.
That might be our next best. In fact, I would tell you it will be our next best opportunity to have official word from the Gamecock head coach. Because there will not be a coach's show this week either.
Nope.
There will be, but it'll be Lamont Paris.
That's right. He does not coach football.
And Dawn Staley spoke today, so we'll have some more from Dawn on tomorrow's show. She's
Look
good.
at that. Hey, basketball practice is officially underway.
It is. Crazy. The Atlanta Braves open a 3-game series against the New York Mets tonight. The Mets come in 2 games ahead of the Braves for the final wild card spot in the National League. The Diamondbacks and Padres have the other 2. They're both behind the L.A. Dodgers out west. Tonight, it's Luis Severino for New York. He's 11-6 with a 3.79. Spencer Schvellenbach, the young rookie, goes for the Braves, 7-7 with a 3.61. The Braves have 6 games left, as do the Mets. And you basically have to – you don't have to sweep this series. But here's the deal. If you take 2 of 3, you go into a final weekend. I'm talking Braves now. You go into the final weekend at home against Kansas City, who is also a playoff team. They're going to get one of the wild cards in the AL. In fact, let me look. Well, you know what? I don't want to get ahead of myself. But Kansas City, if there could be some jockeying, it depends on how they do in the next couple of games. But if the Mets win tonight, I'm not going to say it's over because it's not technically over. But then you would have to overcome a 3-game deficit with 5 games to play, which means that New York you'd have to definitely take the next 2 from New York, cut it back to 1 going into the weekend. But then the hole you have to climb out of. So it's imperative that the Braves set the tone and try to win this one tonight. Again, sweeping would be fantastic from a fan perspective. But I gotta say, Elijah, I'm dead serious about this. You had to go in. The Marlins are terrible. And the Braves lost on Friday night to the Marlins. And I don't mind admitting I'm not a defeatist, and I love the Braves, have since I was a little kid. But I threw out a tweet, hey, it was a good run. Because you had to go sweep the Marlins. They're terrible. Listen, there are AAA teams that are better than the Marlins. The Marlins are terrible. They're not like the White Sox. But
not historically terrible.
But the Braves needed to, and you should have. You should have gone in. You should. I always say this in baseball. I know. Like, don't ever go in expecting to sweep. But there are times when you know you need to and should. And this past weekend was one of those times. The Braves took 2 of 3, which they definitely should have done, especially on, I know on the road, that's fine. But you needed to sweep that series because the difference in 1 game back and 2 games back with this series coming up is huge.
Well, now you have to sweep this one.
And all the Mets went and did was sweep the bleeping Phillies because the Phillies don't care anymore because they already won the division. So, we'll see. I mean,
it's your playoffs.
But you made a great point yesterday. For the Braves, this you're in postseason baseball. It just may be that you get eliminated before the next round of the playoffs start next week when they slap a label on your hat and your sleeve that says playoffs. And they spray paint that thing down on the field. Playoffs, yeah. They spray paint the thing down on the field.
Yeah, this is it. You got to manage these games like they're the playoffs, and your back's against the wall completely.
I think you agree with me. I said if I'm the Mets, who I do not like.
They don't like you either.
They don't. That's cool, man. That's cool. We are good.
You're in agreement.
Yeah, we are good. If I'm the Mets, I do everything necessary to win this game tonight. If I gotta blow out my bullpen, I gotta throw the ball at dudes' heads. Yeah, whatever I gotta do tonight.
Make Grimace available.
Yeah, bring him down from New York. Hire a fake Grimace. In fact, hire like 10 of them, and have them come into the ballpark. I don't know if they'll let him in at Truist. I don't know how that works when you're in a fast food mascot costume.
I don't think Grimace is a security threat.
Oh, he doesn't appear to be.
Hamburglar can't speak for.
Sure.
No.
But whatever they got to do. If I'm the Mets, I win this game tonight because again at that point I can't completely exhale, but I can.
No. Well, know that you put the Braves on life support at that point.
Just a little bit. Again, Severino versus Schwellenbach tonight. 7:20 first pitch. For what it's worth, the Braves are minus 145 to win this game.
That means a lot in baseball, yeah.
And a 55.3% chance, according to the ESPN BPI.
Let's give Pete Rose a call and see what he's got his money on.
Mets.
Think so?
I know Pete. He does.
Always betting Mets.
Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day. After the first win of the season, the Panthers do have some bad news. They have placed Adam Thielen on the injured reserve with a severe hamstring injury. It means he's out for at least the next 4 games. Listen, he's a good part of what they're trying to do offensively. There's no doubt about that.
Which therein kind of lies the problem because he's on the wrong side of like 33.
He's 34 years old. Yeah. Was a touchdown where he got hurt too, which is ironic.
Yeah. Panthers can't be feeling good about themselves.
No. And Jordan Fuller, starting safety, was also placed on IR with a groin injury suffered on Sunday. We asked jokingly, dare I say mockingly, a little rhetorically, like, okay, so the Panthers won on Sunday. Now what? You're still if you win 5 games,
you get yourself out of the number 1 spot.
Yeah,
they're just allergic to doing.
That's just like of the teams that have started over, and they didn't. Like Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati they could be. I don't know what fine means for Cincinnati this season.
I think they're in trouble.
Yeah. And who else is over right now?
Jacksonville's over.
They're bad.
Yeah. Oh, that was atrocious last night.
Ugh. Gross. And one of those interceptions Trevor threw was like, dude, he's wearing blue. Like, who you throwing to, man?
Or do you think your wide receiver is Wilt Chamberlain? Let's put the ball down a little bit. Let's get it in the catch radius, or at least in the receiver's zip code.
Yeah, he didn't look. But boy, the Bills. Whew,
they're a wagon, man.
They did look good.
Josh Allen, MVP. Which has there been a player that's won more September MVPs than Josh Allen over the last 4 or 5 years?
It's like the Sepp Heisman in college.
Sepp Heisman, yeah. Josh Allen. September MVP.
Maybe he's getting to where he can win one in, January and February, too. And speaking of Heisman's, Jaden Daniels looked pretty good last night. Watch a little bit of that one.
Made some history as a rookie.
Yeah.
No rookie has completed that high a percentage of passes on 20 attempts or more.
He's
21 to 23, and he threw some.
he's good, man.
Dimes.
I don't know what that means long term. I still don't know about that franchise. They've still got work.
But I was very happy to see Jaden Daniels succeed despite having to play for that franchise.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, at least these new people are better owners. I mean, I think they're certainly. Well, they have to be better than the guy who was literally the worst.
Look, if it's worse than Dan Snyder, and considering what David Tepper's done in Charlotte, the NFL has done a really good job of finding the worst people imaginable to run franchises.
Well, Tepper's the new low. There's no doubt.
The new low, exactly.
Yeah.
The old low was pretty low, but now we are reaching all types of new lows.
Yeah.
But,
and the only reason Stephen Ross of the Dolphins isn't the low is because he was basically forced to back off and then be proven that, okay, if you stop meddling every day, we can be better.
There's some proof of concept.
He had to be forced to do it because of the whole Flores thing.
As if making his team sign Dante Culpepper ahead of Drew Brees in the 2005 NFL free agency wasn't enough. If he needed further proof.
If that happens.
That was a thing.
Does Nick Saban ever go to Alabama?
No.
No. The crazy twists of fate that life throws us. But you know what? Does Nick Saban win a couple of the Super Bowls? Maybe. But then my beloved New Orleans Saints never get Drew Brees, but then also he never goes to Alabama to torture the entire Southeastern Conference. I mean, really, this is... Well, I know your family has some volunteer fans in it. I know you didn't go to UT, but you do have volunteer fans in the family.
Like the entire family, yeah. So. The entire, all of them.
So they'd rather he had stayed at Miami.
Exactly. Yeah. But I will happily accept the night in February in 2010. Arguably the greatest night of my life. My shirt was off.
Speaking of the NFL, as we conclude our integrated media headlines of the day, by now many of you have heard about Detroit Lion head coach Dan Campbell having his address made public and the family needing to move. They live in a really nice house that they bought for like $3-something, and they're selling it for $4-something. But now we know how his address was leaked out. According to the Detroit News, and I saw this, I went to their website today to see this. It was a schoolmate, a kid who was in the grade below Dan Campbell's high school age daughter, who knew where they lived, and after the game against the Niners in the playoffs, decided to throw it out. Said he posted, it was on Snapchat, which I didn't even know was still a thing.
No, it's still a thing. Okay. Kids still use it.
I thought the kids used Instagram.
Oh, they use both.
Okay. It said dumb and then a word I can't say, and it's not, doesn't start with an A. Dumb blank trying to go for it. And then threw out their address.
Pot, meat, kettle.
And, of course, the coach and his wife were at the game. The daughter was home with friends. Some people did come by, but her boyfriend was at the house, and he basically like turned his car around and would flash lights at people, like his headlights, when they got too close. But apparently where they live, like you can't just drive through. I mean, again, they live in a place where you have $3, $4, and $5 million homes. You don't just get to go driving by.
No.
You gotta make your way in. Right.
You have to really seek it out.
Yeah.
It's not next to the Waffle House.
No, it's not. It's not.
But it'd be really cool if it was.
Well, sure. If you had a Waffle House back, I mean, those people, listen, I don't care how much money you got. You like Waffle House.
Everyone does.
Yeah, I don't care. You could be
an American citizen.
Yeah.
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 I love Waffle House.
Yeah.
End of story.
But the cops came out and they stayed until like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they talked to this kid and his mom. And the kid just said, and the police report, they got all these things, like they thought that it was, that they were distraught over the loss and were venting, blah, blah, blah. And that the kids found humor, again, from the direct quote in the police report, found humor in doing it. But apparently it was only up on Snapchat for a few minutes, which is more than enough time when people start,
Screenshotting.
Screenshotting and
Spreading
and
it.
whatever else they're going to do. So again, nobody was hurt, but they loved the house, he said. And then they've sold it but they made a tidy profit on it. So that's good.
Yeah. Congrats, kid. Yeah. That makes me so mad. But also, you just knew. You knew it had to be a child of some sort because no actual self-respecting Detroit Lion fan would actually go overboard like that over a loss in the NFC Championship game because you have lived long enough to see your team not win anything ever. It had to be a teenager with zero frame of reference on how your team has actually played in the NFL before you were born.
Right.
You just knew. It makes total sense.
Sounds like this is a kid who's about 15 or 16 years old. Based on what you gather. It doesn't say specifically, but based on what you get, it's a 15 or 16-year-old kid.
And they thought they found that humorous.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to see what I would find humorous is you having to tell Dan Campbell to his face what you did and why you did it. That I would find humorous.
Well, I'd find it humorous that he stuffed you in the trash can the way you should probably have
give him a wedgie.
Had that done. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. More on Gamecock football coming up.
Got less than a week. It is September 24th right now, and on September 30th, the buy one, get one offer from Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss will expire. Look, they're celebrating over a year now of being in the Midlands, established here in the Midlands in August of 2023. They decided to extend their anniversary deadline by a whole other month, so you have an opportunity to achieve your weight loss goal with a friend or a family member with our friends at Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss. Look, they did a fantastic job with me, helping me reach my goal in an amount of time that I didn't think was possible. They did all this without any shots, no pills, but with fantastic coaching and a game plan for me that I'm able to use for the rest of my life. They can do all this for you. And if you would like to learn the secret of losing up to a pound of unhealthy fat per day and starting your own success story, give them a call. 803-824-4210. Again, 803-824-4210, or go to ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Welcome back into the postgame show on this Tuesday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. Drive around the SEC coming up in just a bit. Let's get our poll questions in. A couple of you want to talk about Gamecock football on the phone lines, 803-404-6100. 2 poll questions out there for you today.
What's better than one poll question?
2.
That's right.
Well, actually not A, because I'll have choices that are A, B, C, and D, right? So,
Yes.
First poll question. The Gamecocks football team was picked to finish 13th this season at SEC Media Days with 4 games played and the team at 3-1. Where do you currently see them in the conference pecking order? A, top 5. B, 6 through 8. C, 9 through 12. D, 13th or lower. Right now, 50.3% of you say somewhere in the 6, 7, 8 range. That's probably fair. With 38.9% of you in the 9 to 12 range. I'm assuming maybe more optimistic Gamecock fans leaning at that 9 range. And look, you got the top 5 is next at 8%.
Top 5 is pretty damn good.
You're not top 5. I mean, again, 5 of the 6 teams in top 5 of the top 6 teams in America are undefeated in the top 6 or top 5 of the SEC, top 6 of the country. The only exception is Ohio State at 3.
Now,
Texas, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, and Ole Miss.
Now, if you win the rest of your games, then yeah.
Yeah.
You're
And you're good. You're playing well. But you're not, And then 13 or lower, 2.9%. And we joked earlier that 8% is all of Gamecock Larry's Twitter burner accounts.
So now when the poll expires, we can go back and just do the math. What's 8% of whatever the amount of votes there were, and then we can find out how many burner accounts he has.
Larry has.
We can quantify this.
That's right. The poll has, according to what I'm looking at, 23 minutes left in it. So if you have burner accounts like Gamecock Larry and you want to pad the stats,
fire away.
Hit them up. It's at my Twitter feed, jphillips1075, but it has been retweeted at 1075 The Game,
yes,
where there's another Twitter poll.
That's right. And the Twitter poll of the 1075 The Game account, pinned to the top of the profile, easy to find, is now that we're a third of the way through the season, what record do you see the Gamecocks finishing at? 8-4, 7-5, 6-6, or other, where you're asked to leave a comment, but 4.3% have voted and didn't leave a comment. So I will assume that is 3-9. I'm just going to assume that you're hoping for the worst. But right now, 40%, 40.1% going with 7-5. 32.7% say 6-6. 22.8% on the more optimistic side at 8-4.
Yeah, again, 7-5. That's asking you to go 4-4 the rest of the way, and I do not think that is at all unreasonable or unrealistic.
Especially given what we know now about some of your opponents.
Yeah, and I am of the mind, as I will tell all of you all the time, that this school should expect to win 8 football games a year. Otherwise, what are you doing it for? If you're going in with always resetting expectations, it's not good for anybody. Asking you to go 5-3 does feel a little more difficult. I grant you that. You need to win one of those games in October. But I know what Missouri's doing. I get it. I know what Luther's about. I get it, man. But you got to find a way to beat that team.
Yeah. Especially when you get them at home.
Yeah. And you got Vandy, you got Wofford, you got Missouri, you got A&M. I mean, and then take your chances with one of Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Clemson. I'm not saying, it's easy. Because nothing's easy around here when it comes to what you're doing, football-wise. Nor should it be. This, as Hyman Roth said in Godfather 2, this is the business we've chosen. But, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to say, now that you've started 3-1, which everybody would have signed up for pretty much, that you go 4-4 the rest of the way and get yourself a decent bowl game. But, hey, go get that other one.
Definitely.
And then all of a sudden you're playing on New Year's Day again.
Look, Oklahoma is very vulnerable. I think if we learned anything from that Tennessee-Oklahoma game is that Oklahoma on the offensive line is still a significant work in progress. They don't feel good about their quarterback position. The wide receiver and running back room, they're in the morgue, pretty much because they have so many injuries. And some of those are probably going to be sustained throughout the year by the time you do play them in less than a month's time in Norman. And look, Tennessee ran all over them. They dictated the clock. They choked the game out the second half because they were able to run the ball. The strength of your offense right now is Rocket Sanders and being able to run the ball on teams just like you did against LSU.
And whichever one of your quarterbacks wants to run.
And look, if Oklahoma's season goes down the toilet here in the next few weeks, it very well could, because they still got to play Texas before that time. They still have other tough games to play before they face you. If their will is broken, you have the chance to go in there and break it even further, especially if you're feeling decent about yourself with a good showing at Alabama and pushing maybe Ole Miss to the limit here. And you can be close enough to be able to do that. I actually like your chances to go to Oklahoma and end up pulling that one off. I like your chances of beating one or if not both of Missouri and Texas A&M. I know Missouri's good. The offense is explosive, but you've got a really good pass rush. And Missouri's offense has really underachieved in the last 2 games at home against Vanderbilt and Boston College. I see no reason why you can't be able to push Missouri on the road if there's a really good hostile environment at Willie B, which I would expect. There's a lot of stealable games here that you might not have thought were stealable at the beginning of the season.
803-404-6100 for you to be a part of the program, which is what Michael's going to do next. Hey, Michael, good afternoon, buddy.
What's up, guys? Hope y'all having a good day today.
Yeah.
But it's funny y'all talked about where we are or where people will be rating us in the SEC standings, because I just want to talk about that. I think we're in the 7 through 10 range, but a lot of standings where I'm seeing they have Oklahoma and Texas A&M above us. And I kind of want to get y'all's opinion, because I don't see them being like definitely better than us, especially when you look at Texas A&M. I mean, they're ranked. I don't see why. They haven't given me anything to prove why they should be a top 9 or top 8 SEC team right now at the moment. I mean, you struggled against Bowling Green this past weekend, and then we're basically giving them all the props in the world for beating Florida, which I don't think we should be doing. And then Oklahoma, their offense is not good, and you can arguably, argue that it's not doing as well as ours. And then a lot of people want to give them credit for the Tennessee game, keeping that somewhat close, but I'm not sure if y'all have seen that clip. I don't know how they got that clip, but Josh Hooper was kind of whispering in Nico's ear, was like, yeah, I kind of let up on the gas.
I think they knew they could run the football, and again, Nico will live to fight another day, and he'll have his 300 and 400 yard games again here soon enough. Thanks for the phone call, Michael. I'll tell you, I think the number one reason, more than any right now, as to why Carolina is still going to be seen as behind those teams is, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, benefit of the doubt. Again, so much of what we talk about at SEC Media Days is based on last year and
helmet recognition.
Yeah, how much are you exceeding those expectations? And South Carolina, even in a loss to LSU, did earn a solid measure of respect, across the conference. But you still lost the football game. Look, Oklahoma lost the other day, too. And Oklahoma is underperforming relative to expectation, yet they
Definitely
only have the one loss. A&M only has the one loss, right?
To Notre Dame.
And you're right about A&M's win over Florida. But, look, you get A&M here. You get your chance. That's all you can ask for. You get your chance.
Mm-hmm. And I like your chances at beating both of those teams.
Yeah.
Just from a mere football standpoint.
And again, Missouri, I know you didn't mention them, Michael, but, Missouri undefeated, and I like what Eli's doing. Luther Burden he's tremendous, man. I mean, I get it.
That kid's the real deal.
He is.
Offensively, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
But
I get it. And can you find a way to thwart him? So I think that's part of it. It's just again, for lack of a better way to say it, benefit of the doubt. Speaking of teams around the SEC, we'll take a drive around the conference when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with absolutely nothing to report on the roadways in terms of accidents. And it's been that way all afternoon, and you're doing a really good job of keeping it that way, even though it is raining and the driving conditions are not ideal.
Especially in the rain. Way to go, Greater Columbia.
We are on an absolute tear. Keep it up. I have nothing right now in terms of accident-related traffic backups. I mean, might have some traffic backup.
Should I go out here and throw a rock at a car just to give you something to talk about?
Absolutely not. No. That means I can make these shorter.
All right.
So it's good news. And hopefully we'll have the same thing here in 30 minutes.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. Starting with a couple of things from Oklahoma, who we were just talking about. Brent Venables has named freshman quarterback Michael Hawkins the starter for this weekend's game at Auburn. Just not a good day for Jackson Arnold the other day for OU against that UT defense. And Brent basically saying, look, gotta make a change somewhere along the way. Hawkins finished 11 of 18 for 132 yards and a score. Also had 22 yards on the ground. Oklahoma goes to Auburn this Saturday at 3:30. Venables saying, quote, "Maybe this will give us a better chance moving forward. I believe in Mike. I made that announcement for a lot of reasons. Certainly didn't want a decision like that to hang over anyone's head. We've got to get better." Now, benching Arnold, of course, is being met with mixed feelings from around the OU fan base, primarily because Dylan Gabriel was allowed to leave. But on that note, Brent Venables did speak last night, Elijah, saying, quote, "You can't make a guy stay. The guy is trying to find the next thing, the next chapter for him. I'm sure there was probably some disappointment that he wasn't more highly thought of in the NFL. He had an amazing year. He was a fantastic quarterback, but we didn't run anybody off or things like that." Gabriel, of course, came from UCF to OU, now doing good things at Oregon. He is from Hawaii. Some suggested he's just, after coming all the way across the United States of America, is inching his way back west. I don't know.
Orlando to Norman to Eugene makes some sense.
I mean, it is getting him closer to Hawaii, but still,
it's not in the neighborhood.
I don't think that's really what it is at this point. But, I mean, I'll take Brent at his word. They didn't run him off, but, did you show a lot of favoritism? I mean, I remember hearing that Jackson Arnold committed to OU before Dylan Gabriel ever played a game for OU. So this was a kid that they had maybe since Brent's early days of recruiting. Look, whatever. The other kid, Hawkins, did all right. I mean,
he gave him some life.
Yeah, I mean, he did all right. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to. It's not time to anoint anybody anything at this point. Go do it against Auburn. We'll see. Speaking of Auburn,
things are going very, very great there.
Hugh Freeze, we don't have that quote, do we? That's not the quote we have on our cut list today. I don't think it's the same
the one
quote.
about him fixing.
I don't think we have. It's not the same quote. So I'm going to read this, but I did hear this quote this morning on Andy Staples' show. Hugh Freeze said this after, of course, Auburn looked like you-know-what against Arkansas.
Really good.
On Saturday when they had, 4 interceptions?
4 interceptions, I think 5 total turnovers of the football.
Yeah, four interceptions and a fumble. And they lost by 10. Quote, "I mean no offense whatsoever to Arkansas. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is, if we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. That's what's hard to take. And it's hard for our fans, I'm sure. And it's certainly hard for us. I heard the quote. It was on his coach's show last night. Nah, man. I saw a decent amount of that game. Your guys are just not very good at throwing the football. It wasn't like Arkansas was confusing them or doing things that they had never seen before. They were putting the ball in harm's way because that's what they were doing. Now,
they're not good quarterbacks.
Now, Arkansas doesn't beat you 10 times straight either. But Arkansas is not playing bad football this year. They're like the Gamecocks this year. They're exceeding, albeit low expectations on a relative scale.
But look competent and good at times.
Again, Arkansas had, because there was a defensive score in that Oklahoma State game. That's why I say I feel like they should have won that game. I know that's.
Oh, they blew it. Yeah. They blew the game.
But they had a big lead on the road, and they really should have won that game. Twice they were up 14 points in that game.
Yeah.
But regardless, they didn't, and that's fine. But Arkansas is playing good football this year. And I'm going to tell you, bud, I think if you play 10 times, maybe you split. Maybe Arkansas beats you 6 times from what I've seen so far. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Elijah Campbell, Auburn didn't look good against California either.
Yeah, they also threw a lot of interceptions in that game and got completely, dragged by Cal in their home stadium. Cal was able to smother the game without their best player. Jay Knott didn't really even play in that game. Cal went in there without their best player and beat you in your house. Oh, and last year you had a lot of the same, personnel you do this year, and you lost to New Mexico State by a lot. You've shown no ability to protect your home stadium. In the 2 years that you've been there, Peyton Thorne hasn't gotten any better at all. You could even say he might have gotten worse from last year to this year. And the star receiver that you did bring in, through high school recruiting, and Cam Coleman had a ball bounce right off his hands into an Arkansas defender for one of those interceptions. Your team's just not very good. You're not doing a good job of coaching.
Yeah, I don't think they're very good. That's what. But I think that's. I mean, no offense to Arkansas. Well, maybe you didn't mean it, but that kind of shade you're trying to throw doesn't look good when they beat you by 10 on your field.
That's right. No, it's the whole. Which anytime somebody prefaces anything with no disrespect, but they're about to say something very disrespectful, and I don't think no disrespect is able to wash that away. I cannot insult you right now, Jay Phillips, and preface it with no disrespect, and you have any obligation to not take it disrespectfully.
Listen, Elijah, no offense to tall people with beards, but I don't really like tall people with beards.
You all look like lumberjacks. No, and you know what? I can take offense to that. Even with prefacing no offense, yeah. One of the
if you're wondering, if you've never seen a picture of Elijah Campbell, Elijah is tall and has a beard.
That's right. Very long hair.
Yeah. Well, the hair's fine. I don't care about the hair.
Okay, it's not the hair he has a problem with.
Yeah.
It's my height.
That's a whole other thing that you get a haircut, you hippie.
Richard
Finally,
Nixon's worst nightmare.
Finally, in the drive around the SEC today, the big game not only in the SEC but in the country is Georgia's trip to Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday. Or what is it now? Is it Bryant-Denny Saban Field at Tuscaloosa, Alabama Stadium? What is it called?
Actually, it's just Bryant-Denny's, and it's just nothing but a bunch of Denny's diners in that stadium. I'm hungry.
Do you want to guess when the last time, I'll just ask for a year. I don't want to have a specific game. The last time Alabama was a home underdog.
Ooh, I'm going to say this would have been one of the times Urban Meyer's Florida teams came in. And so I'm guessing 2010.
The last time they were a home underdog was Nick Saban's first season, 2007, and it was to eventual national champion LSU.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Long time.
Very long time.
No home dog since then. They are a current 1.5 point underdog to Georgia. This game has the potential to be epic, like last year's SEC title game. I don't see anybody running away with it, but it also has the potential to be ugly.
You think so?
Yeah, like sloppy, ugly.
Yeah, because, well, Georgia's offense has looked stagnant at times.
At times. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy. Come back with what a professional sports owner shouldn't do when he wants to apologize. Welcome back in. Want to remind you one more time that September is Hunger Action Month. The game and Hardee's teaming up for the Hardee's Roundup. Just go to your participating Hardee's, grab some food, round up your bill to the nearest dollar amount, and all the donations go to Harvest Hope Food Bank for Students. That continues for the rest of the month at all participating Midlands area Hardee's. We thank them for that, and thank you for being part of it. Thanks to all of you who are helping the kids. The owner, John Fisher of the Oakland Athletics, tried to thank the fans today. Fell pretty flat, in my opinion.
In a lot of people's opinion. And that is the correct opinion.
It's a pretty long letter. I won't read all of it to you, but he starts off with all the accolades that the Athletics baseball franchise earned in Oakland. 4 World Series titles, 6 pennants, 17 division championships, 7 Hall of Famers. Mentions guys like Dave Stewart and Ricky Henderson who are in the Hall of Fame. And then he goes on to say, and that I know is what makes our departure so very hard. If you didn't know, by the way, and a lot of you around here may not have recalled, the A's are leaving Oakland after this weekend. They're going to play in Sacramento for 3 years, then move to Las Vegas. You heard me right. The A's are part of the fabric of Oakland, he wrote. The East Bay, the entire Bay Area. When Lou Wolf and I bought the team in 2005, our dream was to win world championships and build a new ballpark in Oakland. Over the next 18 years, we did our very best to make that happen. We proposed and pursued 5 different locations in the Bay Area, and despite mutual and ongoing efforts to get a deal done for the Howard Terminal project, we came up short. Only in 2021, after 16 years of working exclusively on developing a home in the Bay Area, and faced with a binding MLB agreement to find a new home by 2024, did we begin to explore taking the team to Las Vegas. Looking ahead, he said, I hope you will join our beloved A's as we move forward on this amazing journey. I hope I will see you again sporting the green and gold, and I hope we will make you proud. John Fisher, who is worth a couple $2 billion himself. Massive failure here. What he's basically not telling you is, we weren't really going to spend much of our money at all, and we needed cash-strapped Oakland, California to basically fall over backwards to keep us here. And I've read a lot about this and what they've tried to do. He was going to put a little bit of money into it, but he's worth plenty, as any of these guys are. And I'm not here to judge. Look, I'm a capitalist through and through, but I do hate when a lot of these owners do this to their local communities. And while they have called 3 different cities home, again, 4 world titles, 17 division titles. Heck, they went to the playoffs 7 times while this dude owned them on shoestring budgets. You could have stayed. You could have made it work. You'd have just had to spend more of your money, and you chose not to. I'd go ahead and move to Vegas. Now, they got a AAA team in Vegas. Just go straight to Vegas.
Why not?
Just play the AAA. You're going to play in a AAA park in Sacramento, which is, about 100 miles away. You may as well just move on to Vegas now. Or better yet, you should have gotten off your rear end and, sold more jeans at the Gap, because this dude owns the Gap.
You know what he also could have done?
Just come off with more money. Paid for it. Do it.
Or use some of that money you have to invest in some players. You know who the biggest contract in the history of the Oakland A's is? The most they've ever spent on one player contract. Who it is. I'm not asking you for the money. I just want you to guess who it is.
Canseco?
No, that would be even worse. But it's Eric Chavez.
Oh, my.
Eric Chavez, who had that, who agreed to that deal in March of 2004. They have not paid a baseball player more than they have Eric Chavez from March of 2004.
And this dude bought the team in 05.
And they wonder why the results aren't there.
Yeah.
And they wonder why the support isn't what it used to be. That's kind of ludicrous, too, because people still come to those games, even boycott and all.
They're averaging around 10,000 a game. They did sell out Thursday's game, the final home game. They sold it out.
He did was spit all over that franchise.
To those people, from what I've read, if there's going to be a sellout crowd there, don't go to the bathroom.
Nope. Oh, no. That stadium is disgusting. It looks disgusting. I've never been. I don't need to go.
Some of the stories.
I've heard enough.
Yeah, I mean, Deuce and Langston have played in it, and I've asked, but I've read enough stories about that place. But don't go to the bathroom.
And some advice to the owner of the Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, just shut up.
Yeah.
If you're gonna leave, if you're or an owner of a team that is about to move, when you clearly did not try hard enough to make things work in that city, Stan Kroenke, and you're about to move and relocate a historic franchise, the best thing to do is not say a damn
nothing.
thing, because you're just gonna look.
That's
like
a bad
an idiot,
look.
like a jerk.
Bad look. Did
He
you
is
see
a
what?
jerk.
Did you
Now
see
he
the
looks
Larry
like one.
Beal, the former ESPN guy? Did you see him literally rip up a copy of the letter
Yes.
on his Oakland sports
It's
news?
insulting.
Yeah.
Yes, what that owner has done to them is insulting, and he deserves all this ridicule.
Yeah.
Word of advice: just shut up.
More Gamecock football on tomorrow's program. Appreciate Ryan Brewer as always. For Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. See y'all.